Hey. Yes, sir. How y'all living today? What's the word? How y'all living? Y'all know what it is. This is another episode of the Fathers from the Hood podcast. Yes, sir. My name is Dan Black. And we got a very special guest in here, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself, bro.
My name is Jerome Johnson, man.
Yes, sir. We got Jerome in here, man, and we do have him. He's a very special guest. He's a very special guest and a partner of one of our partners. Hey, Sue, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Hey Sue on the ones and twos.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. But yeah, we got a very special guest. Before we do anything, y'all go ahead and hit the like, hit the subscribe button, go to the Fathers from the Hood radio, all that good stuff, man. And also go to the Patreon. You can donate there. We have shirts and merch and stuff. Shout out to Power Tripping. That's the bro, and he is donate. So yeah, we do have that. And like I said, we got some exciting things coming up. But first of all, let's go ahead and acknowledge our special guest. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So like I said, our partner Jesus on the ones and twos, man. He did introduce us to a great individual right here, man. And his name is Jerome, right?
Absolutely,
Jerome in the house.
Absolutely, man. Thank you,
Yes,
man,
sir.
for having me.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. It's such a pleasure, man. Like I said, we're here to basically give all the dads and all the information, insight, and just share our stories with the world, man. Especially with someone like you. You know what I'm saying? I heard a lot about you, so we're gonna let you share, brother.
All good. Appreciate you.
Oh yeah, yes sir. So usually we'll get right into it. Usually when we kind of start off, we always ask the guest, where they grew up, what city and all that, and if they had their fathers in their life. So
Got it. Well, I grew up in the city of New Orleans.
Okay.
My father was partly in my life until I became about maybe around 12 or 13, and then at that point, he became absent. So yeah, no father at all. Just my mother who was our rock. So that was, this is who I am and why I am what I am.
Right. Usually our mothers have a real strong
Absolutely.
impact on us, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely always preach that. Sometimes when your dad is not there, though, that kind of has a big effect on you as well, but it kind of does the opposite. Your mother is someone you want to mimic or kind of try to mirror when it comes to certain things. But sometimes when we have the father not there, it's like, oh, I don't want to do nothing like he did, or I'm not going to do that. Did you kind of have those thoughts or ideas?
Yes, absolutely. It made me become a little different when it becomes the attachment to being a father and why I am the way I am. So I didn't want to be him, and I don't want to repeat that same cycle.
Yes, sir. Nobody does, man. We all trying to just break the cycle. They kind of, and I'm in my 30s, but my real dad, they was a certain age, and I like to think that during a certain era, some people weren't involved or weren't really focused on being fathers.
Right.
And we know that it's from a measure of things. It's a lot of factors that really, were taken into that. But yes, it was a real shame. And now it's good to see that everybody is using those, experiences to make sure they change it. That's what we're all about. So,
right.
Yeah, and it's also good to talk about it, man. When you were a kid, did you have any of those times when he was there and when he left? How hard was that on you? Did it really, really leave a real hole in your heart or life?
Actually, no. Okay. It didn't, because I had, examples like, my grandfather, my uncles, men that I grew up in the neighborhood that, I was around. So I had examples, right? Okay. So my grandparents were married for about maybe 55, 57 years before, they both moved on. And, my uncles and aunts who are still married. So I was around a positive enforcement of men.
Great.
So I didn't really feel empty about it, because, sometimes when a person leaves you, obviously you can figure it out for yourself why they left. Yes, right? It doesn't take a rocket science to figure out why he left.
Mm-hmm.
So I just knew as I became an adult that I did not ever want to repeat that cycle.
Copy that. Yeah, that's what we all do. And then we're going to kind of go into the next question when we're kind of speaking on it, so we don't repeat that cycle. When did you have your kids, and when you had them, how did that make you feel? How did you really, really jump into fatherhood?
Oh, man, when I had my kids, I was in my mid-20s, and, when I became a father, man, it was a state of mind. So I knew that this is what I wanted to be, right? I wanted to be active in my children's life. So the moment that they were born, I had an opportunity to see them come out the womb. The day that when they close their eyes at night, when they open their eyes in the morning, I'm there. Mm-hmm. So, from PTA meetings to back to school to field trips, whatever it may be, I've always been in their life. Even now, my oldest is 38.
Okay.
So, I'm in their lives, so that doesn't change. So, the type of involvement changed, but the involvement never goes away.
Right, right. That's good to hear, man. That's great to hear that you have kids that are of age and that you've been there from the beginning.
Right.
You know, it's really something to take our hat off to. Cigars, flowers, accolades, whatever, because we really are happy that there are men out there like that. You know, and
Right.
really, really, as you can see, really take a lot of pride in that. You know,
Right.
As you should, man. I say everybody say the kids is an extension of you.
Absolutely.
You know, and how did you balance, trying to instill good qualities in your kids?
Well, you just have to have, I have, three things. It's called PPG. You protect, you provide, and you guide, right?
Hey, I like it.
So you actually sit with them and you can talk to them. When you're able to talk to your kids, you can talk to your children about anything.
Right.
Right. So nothing should ever be off the table. So you set a foundation, right? You set a foundation for, who you are, not only just as a man, right, as a provider, and they get a chance to see you do that every day. So my children got a chance to see me be a dad every day, right? They saw me come home from work. They see me pick them up from school. They see me, I cook, I clean. I did everything that a father should do, right? So that platform, that foundation was there every day. So I never wavered from that. Like my friends used to tell me, like, bro, you with your kids all the time. Like, where am I supposed to be if not with them, right?
Right.
So you have to be able to give them, a foundation. So once you build that foundation, then they'll see that every day because it becomes repetition for them, and that's what I did.
That's great. That's great to hear. You really got to invest in your kids. Sounds like you did. That's what we all trying to do as younger men. Some people try to balance it all with the mental, with the responsibilities and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Sometimes we do, fall short, or sometimes we kind of do have
Absolutely.
to remind ourselves of what we are to do. But the
Absolutely.
main goal, the main, North Star is to, hey, slap yourself. These kids are here. You got to take care of them.
Right.
Whatever's going on, do it. And it's good to hear that, man. That's the way we all want to be. Real quick, I know you're a young man that's been around, man.
Right,
It sounds like you've been around.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about some of the places you visited and how you've been able to amass this wisdom that you have.
Well, I think I'm pretty open-minded, right? And that's through anything. And I always look at life through metaphor, sports, and food, right?
Okay.
So if you can sit down and break bread with a man, you can get a lot from him. And you can understand him, right? So, traveling to, let's just say, a little island called Roatan, right? And Roatan is a part of Honduras.
Okay.
So that island is 36 miles off the coast of Honduras. And when you go to that island, you see everybody who look like me and you, and also Jesus. So what you understand is when I got there, I sit down and I sit and talk to them about just who they are as people, as men. And you break bread with them and you find out that, he got a brother he don't, he be funking with, he got his, his cousins, that he rock with, so he has the same issues you have.
Right.
But the interesting part about it is they speak English, right? So I thought when I got there that they would only speak Spanish, but at the end of the day, their first language is English because the British used to own that island.
Right.
So the British sold that island to Honduras, right? And then they sold the island with people on it. We know how that goes, right?
Okay.
So, but traveling, man, you get a chance to meet a lot of good people. And what I try to do is sit down with them and just listen, right, to their story. When I travel to Mexico, same thing, listen to their story, right? Jamaica, listen to their story. And you'll find out a lot of it is the same as ours.
Right. I would definitely know Central America is definitely relatable. We definitely can, relate and kind of understand a lot of the same things.
Right.
We cousins. We all related,
Absolutely.
So I definitely can understand that. Speaking on the other side of the hemisphere in the world,
Right.
How have you been there, and how relatable is it over there? I haven't left the country, but sometimes we like to think that, other countries are on the other side, maybe around Europe and, other Russian areas or Germany, whatever over there. Sometimes people think that is different. How would you say it is based on?
Here's the interesting about it, right? Like, I've never had a chance to travel through Europe. Like my youngest daughter had, because she lives in Amsterdam, right?
Oh, okay.
In fact, she just came back.
Wow.
And she did study abroad over in Amsterdam. So I live vicariously through her,
Okay.
right? And also, sending her money, right? So I live that way by living vicariously. But I worked with a lot of people from Europe.
Okay.
So I had an opportunity to be around a lot of Europeans and a lot of people in the Eastern Bloc. And what I understand is when you talk to them, their world is very unique and different from ours.
Yes.
Right? So they don't process things the way we do. we process things in white and black, right? Because it's the way our colonizers make us think, right? We process white and black, where they process right and wrong, and basically through their either religion or the ethnic group. So they get down like that.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Our whole process is different, but I do want to be able to go to Africa.
Oh yeah, I definitely
Never had that opportunity yet, but I do want to go. I do want to visit it because I think there's some closure for all of us if we do go get a chance. Now, I've had friends who've gone and they've really got closure, right?
Oh yeah.
And how that transatlantic came this way.
Oh yeah, I hear about that all the time. Anyone who's went to Africa is definitely a life-changing experience, no matter what race you are, to be honest. But definitely
Right.
for us, my step-pops, he went there and he always, talks about his places of travel, Hungary, Germany, and Philippines, and everywhere. So it's great to hear that because it's a part of learning. It's a part of wisdom that you can get without even going.
Right.
Someone like you can tell me how certain places are, and it's just something for us to learn. One thing that we always assume is that Africa is kind of wilderness or is crazy or something like that, when sometimes it's one of the most beautiful places from what I've seen, pictures and things like that.
Well, I say this a lot with one of my buddies, Mike. We tease ourselves about being westernized, right? Even though we use the word African, right? We've never lived in Africa. Right. So, but we do understand what Africa is about.
Yes, sir.
Right. So we try to measure it to the United States. Right. So if they don't, right. So if they don't have, high speed cable, right. So if they don't have, the internet services the way we have, or the type of restaurants or the scenic views that we think we should have here in the United States,
right,
then we look at them different.
Yeah.
Then we go into that colonizer mind, like third world. Right.
Or
No, they're not
like
third
us.
world. Right. Yeah. So, to me, I think they are happy the way they are. And I don't think you should have to change to be with anybody. I mean, who sets the standard? Like my friend Tony says, right? By whose standards?
Right.
Right. So if they're happy with the lifestyle that they have, so be it. Right. They don't have to have Maseratis to be happy.
Right.
So, I'm all for, people being who they are.
Right. And they do, some places, they do have, some of them got Maseratis. But
I do, yes. Yeah.
I don't want nobody to look, hey, man, we got cars now.
Right.
Yeah, some of them do have,
Right.
high end. But like I said, some people compare things in there. They have cities, they have everything we have, but some places don't. And it's great to be in different countries and understand, like you said, the different cultures, the way they live,
Right.
the
Absolutely.
way they live. One thing that we always say here in America, we think this is one of the best places. We kind of have that concept of, this is the best place, the safest place, whatever. But based on some of the stats that we see right here from last year, 2022, it says some of the, what are the 10 safest countries to live in? And we'll just go through 4 of them. They said Iceland. They said in this area, it is hard to find any place where security is not an issue. They said New Zealand, Portugal, and Denmark. So Portugal or New Zealand, we always hear that New Zealand is kind of a safe place. They said it's a developed country holding the top position as one of the safest. So they always see that. And, compared to America, where we have this gun, I don't know. I don't even know what to word it as. This kind of this frenzy, this
Right.
I don't know, this kind of cop out. I would say someone wants to kind of use these guns to kind of solve their issues or whatever. But in other places, words are king. Words are the most powerful sword sometimes.
America is clinical, right? Because they use they hide behind what they call the Second Amendment, right? They believe that a gun resolves all, and really a gun doesn't. That gun causes more issues than it resolves issues, right? So other people, don't necessarily believe that is the answer to it all. And I say this constantly. If I have to go to either a grocery store and I need to carry a gun to go to the grocery store, I need to find another one to go to, right? I don't want to go to any store or a mall or any place of business, or you take your family into a restaurant, but you got to put a pistol on the table because you're paranoid.
Right.
But America is built on paranoia. So that's why guns are so important to, people, in this country, right? They honestly believe that gun resolves all, and that gun does not.
No, it
right?
doesn't. It doesn't.
So, other countries, of course they have the issues just like anywhere else, but they don't resolve them through guns the way that we do.
Yeah, no, I notice sometimes when we speak about our lineage, when we try to pass on good information to our kids, You know, a lot of people in different countries, a lot of people from different areas focus on parables, wisdom, and certain things. And we're more sometimes materialistic. Hey, we need you to do this, son. I need you to do this. Get together so you can have it. Here go all my guns. There go the guns and stuff
Absolutely,
like that.
absolutely.
So you know, it's kind of crazy to see that. But
Right.
hey, I guess that's just a part of what you think you need to hand down to your son. And it's a delicate topic because I can't tell you what to tell your son,
Right.
and you can't tell me. But it's always kind of a social influence. You know, you're kind of trying to talk about being responsible.
Your community become part of who you are.
Yes.
Right. In your family, your foundation becomes who you are. So when you sit down and you actually talk to your children, it's really about, I think you and I and probably Jesus is more about a value system, right? So it's about, when I heard him say, it's about love, right? It's about caring, right? So it's about your religious values and what you believe in.
Right.
And so when you can pass that on, you know, those values will last longer than, you know, some shoes or a car or a home.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, our country's built on materialistic things. It's not built on, they'll tell you it's built on, you know,
pursuit of happiness and
God,
freedom,
right?
and God, God and pursuit, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really not. It's built on how fast I can reach in your pocket and take yours and put it in mine. That's what America is built on, right? It's definitely not built on no value system. So.
Yeah. Some inner cities, some places have more values than others, but one thing that we want to do here is kind of change the narrative. It kind of takes a village, or kind of help each other with this new narrative, because we want to make sure that us as men, if we all happy and we interacting with our kids and interacting with each other, I think it'll kind of ease the situation, you know, ease everybody out there. Nobody's a little bit as angry as they were.
Well, yeah, you have to know someone in order to be able to, you know, feel comfortable, right? And then you got to be comfortable within yourself.
Definitely.
So when you actually really have, let's say, a conflict in your community, and you say, wait a minute, that's Dan's son, that's Jesus' son.
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute, I know that family. So you can talk to that family, right? Like my friends, I can, you know, people that I know, I can sit and talk to anybody anywhere, because I do understand that, one, a conflict with children, that's what they are, they're children. So don't have life experience to resolve that. You as an adult should be able to resolve that and not necessarily fall into the prey of being a child when you get out there.
Hey,
you know, like that's my son. So I'm going to fight with my son. He's 14. I'm going to fight other 14-year-olds.
Right.
You know, you have to have conflict resolution skills on yourself, on your own, to resolve it. So, you know, we have to get past that, our ego, our manhood, right? Because manhood don't do nothing but get you either locked up or 6 feet under.
Put that pride to the side. Like you said, in the inner cities, conflicts are always ended with a gun sometimes. But it's better, and it takes a little bit more power to kind of word that out, kind of just negotiate or talk about it, because one, like you said, that's going to create more issues. It's a cascading effect. It's a snowball. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to retaliate. Something's going to happen, which is, hey, if that's what you want, hey, go ahead. But what really can stop all of that is just a couple seconds. Think about it. Talk to this person and get it situated and figure it out. Absolutely. That's good that you say that, man. As fathers, instead of jumping into conflict, hey, man, who's on my son? Son, let me talk to you, see what's going on. Let's get both sides of the story. Let me still talk to you. I'm still with you, son. I'm still with you. Let's just hear what's going on. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk. Let's go over here and talk. You know what I'm saying? I think that's very needed, because I didn't really see that coming up. I didn't see fathers, talking about an incident or a debate or anything with their kid, going and say, hey man, let's do this. It was always the son going, grabbing something or doing something, taking a couple homies, like you said, young people, and just going and do something stupid. That's a good
But
point.
that's the era I grew up in, right? Okay. I grew up in the era of men and fathers helping you resolve those issues, right? So I grew up it was no gray area. It was either right or wrong, right? From my mother to my uncles to my grandfather to guys I grew up in the community with, right? So they were like, hey man, look, no, bro, you wrong. I don't want to hear all that, stop all that crying. You wrong, right? Okay. So it wasn't, you didn't get that comfort of saying, oh man, he just gonna rock with me blindly.
Yeah, right. It's all right, man.
Right? So I'm that way even with my friends, right? We are very honest with each other, right? So we could be somewhere, and we're older now, so we don't have those issues. But when our younger days, we could be somewhere, and our friend could do something he got no business doing. And we'll look at him and say, don't you ever do that shit again, right? Because at the end of the day, he going to put you in a position. And so now you got to choose, right? And you know, and so you don't want to be in it. So your friends have more respect for you. You tell him, hey man, I love you, bro, but that shit was wrong, right? So he has to be able to understand that, right, and that you're not going to compromise who you are, because, man, you know, I've seen a lot of people get locked up for nothing.
Me too. Yeah. Accountability is huge.
Absolutely.
And if we can all hold each other accountable, that'll do a lot, you know,
Right.
Especially with fathers. And real quick to go on a point for fathers, this is a stat right here. It says there are a lot of fathers. There are an estimated 72.2 million fathers in the United States. That's a lot. And it says there are 24, under half of that, 24.6 million fathers in a married two-person household with kids under 18. So what he mentioned about giving these kids that insight, hey, man, have a seat, come sit down, make a peanut butter jelly sandwich, let's talk about it.
Right.
You know, that means a lot more than just, you know, telling them, hey, man, I got your back. You know what? You my son. No matter what, we going to go fuck them up. No matter what. Hey, man, wait a minute. Wait, you know what? Hey, let's talk. That's right, man. That's real good. I really like that, because we all need to get in that. Real quick on another one. I know you got a lot of wisdom and parables. Is that because I heard you know how to coach? You've been a coach sometime, you know?
Yes,
talk to me about it.
Yes, man. So, you know, I've been, you know, fortunate. I've been blessed because, you know, when you get to coach, you know, young men, you become an extension of another father to those young men. So you want to give them the same values. Hopefully you can parallel what their parents are telling them, because it's more about being a father than it is really about being a coach, right? Because I can teach you what a 42 front looks like, right? Or 52 or 53 or a 3-3-5. I can tell you what a defensive scheme look like,
right?
But I'm trying to give you life lessons, life skills, right? So when you actually really do that, and like I said, break bread, right? So I used to take kids on a Thursday. We would go eat like you know, you take kids to eat Thai food, right? You know, and their parents say, how you get my son to eat that? I can't get him to eat none of that, right?
They don't eat vegetables with me. You know?
What I say, Jesus, right? You got chicken everywhere. Everybody eat chicken.
Right.
You take a kid to a Thai restaurant, get him some chicken, he gonna eat it, right? So you introduce him to things different. So it's more about coaching, is more about life skills than it really is ever about sports, right? Now some people twist it because they want the Friday night lights versus helping a young man become a better man.
Right. That's true.
You know, so you got to give him the same values you would give your son, you know, and sometimes you got to coach him or mentor him in a way that you want someone to mentor your son.
Okay.
You know, and that's why I got involved in coaching.
That's great. That's great to hear. You say it kind of giving them more wisdom, and I would assume that when you're on the field, you can read people, read the scenes, read the energy or the environment.
You can.
And that's a way of you learning how to know when you're in life, hey, man, it's time to get your ass out of there.
Right.
Or it's time to go in there. It's time to do the work now, or it's time to acknowledge this, because I think, you know, when you teach your kids things like chess,
right,
it's a way to think into the quote-unquote future,
right,
to think a few steps ahead. When you're a teacher or when you're a coach or when you have people playing sports like football,
right,
I think it's a way to kind of read the environment. And every sport, I think, has its own benefit when it comes to doing that.
True.
But yeah, so did you coach only football?
Yeah, I've only coached football. I mean, I coached track for 2 years, but mainly it's really about football. But if you really think about football is a team concept.
Oh, definitely.
Right. So
definitely.
you know, even though you're gonna have selfish individuals, right? Because you're gonna hear a father say, "Hey, my son
I need more time."
Exactly, or he needs more touches, right? Okay. Or my son's a quarterback, so he needs to throw the ball more. Where he's 15, 16, or 17. Conceptually, he don't get all what a Drew Brees will get, right? Or true. Peyton Manning, or Lamar Jackson. It's a total different concept. These are grown men. So, so you get selfishness, but what it teaches a young man, if you can implement that with him, is that you take the same concept on the football field, you bring it into your house. It's a team concept.
Yes.
Right? So if your wife is in a house, cooking grits, then you can be your ass out in the yard, taking care of the yard.
Yep.
Right? So it is a team concept.
Yes, sir.
So what happens with sports and young men, you really manage personalities. So you got to be able to tell him when he's right and when he's wrong, or if his ass is selfish, you sit him down. And he got to understand that's life. That's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You can't be afraid of, his feelings. Like they'll say, well, him ain't happy. Well, I don't give a damn about him being happy. Right?
He
has to learn. And that's part of it. So that's also part of coaching and mentoring. Not about the X's and O's. You're just managing personalities.
Copy that. That's great to hear, man. I know it's a lot of dad coaches out there. We had a couple on here, and
Right.
it seems like this is more and more frequent. It's more and more dads that want to step up and not only be in their kid's life, maybe as a coach, because that's the first coach you get, your dad.
Right.
But they want to make sure that they help other kids. They
Right.
see a void that they can help and fill, and that's great. That's the thing. Like I said, that's another time to take off the hat. Accolades going to you,
Absolutely.
man. Who's your favorite dad coach in the game, right, or in general?
I would say right now because of Prime, right? You got Deion out there, and I've seen a lot of daddy coaches, and a lot of daddy coaches, unfortunately, it really thinks about themselves, their own kids, and it's hard, and I get it. Now, would I do that? No, because it creates a perception. But Deion, because of what he's doing, ultimately, it's been done by other people, right? When you look at, let's say Shanahan, right? Shanahan worked for his dad, right? So no one talks about nepotism when he does it. Sean McVay, right? His grandfather, all these. So you see it; it's there in the NFL. But what Deion is doing, from a marketing standpoint, is phenomenal.
Yes.
What he's doing,
Yes.
and I like what he's doing. I like that I see his son, with Well Off Media. You have, Darius Sanders, with Reach the People. So you got all these brothers that's benefiting from Deion Sanders, who's not only, Hall of Famer, but now, he's providing those same tools for his children.
Yes, sir.
He's opening up doors for his children, and I love it because he should do it. Everybody else do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, everybody else do it, and it's not even about everybody else. What wouldn't you want to do for your own kids?
Absolutely.
Talk to me, man. Why would you hate on somebody for setting up their kids for success?
Everybody
That's
does.
a hater statement,
Absolutely.
My boy, he went to Mississippi and was battle rapping. He said, "I only came to bring the show to Jackson State like Coach Prime." But he's a battle rapper.
Absolutely.
So shout out to royalty. But that's great to hear. Deion Sanders, I think he's doing some great things. And when things are getting crazy, man, you got to know when to go. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately. And sometimes, some places you have good ideas, you have a great vision for it, but sometimes it just might not work out. And that's fine. At that time, you might need to go somewhere else. But we're still behind you, Coach Prime, for sure. Thanks for telling us that. We know we love Coach Prime out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. We're going to go direct. His son is into media and things like that, which, of course, tie in to the next topic, IT. You know what I'm saying? I know you have, this dude is well-versed, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know this young man here. Real quick, and this some statistics on the IT or some of the information industry. It says the global information technology industry was valued at $4.8 trillion in 2020. That's in 2020. So I know it's going up, and it says and expected to reach 5.2 trillion in 2021. These are a couple years ago, but now I know that these numbers have grown, especially with the surge of media, especially with the surge of radio, which we have, especially with the surge of just do it yourself, take action. And we have WordPress and other things, Elementor, Linode, all those, But when it comes to the information technology, how do you relate that, one, to the world now, compared to where it used to be, and where is it going?
Oh man, it when I came into it, it was in the early 80s, in the infamous of the birth of it, right? So I don't know if you heard of an 8088, right? That's the first computer, right?
Okay.
That's the first computer, was an 8088.
Okay.
But I was doing this before all this came around. So you're talking about languages called Pascal, right? Okay. All these type of Fortran, right? These are assembly languages, right? So this all came through Unix. So the first computer that was built was in 1980, right? So I was back then. I saw all this stuff. Okay. So I saw clone computers come about, right? I seen the first, hard drive installed inside of a computer, right? So what everyone sees now, it's user friendly for everybody, right? So I came from a line script, from typing on a line where we didn't have a color monitor, right? It was a monochrome monitor, right? So we didn't have a GUI, which is a GUI interface. We didn't have none of those things. Okay. So what happens is, when you see this now, if you had to take people back when I first got involved, they kill themselves, right? Because everything is user friendly for them, right? It's user friendly, but technology has always been things that I think, we lack in. We at one point we were afraid to get into technology. Yeah. Like a lot of my friends at one point didn't even know I was involved in technology because it wasn't cool.
Yeah, right.
Right? Wasn't cool, right? So they didn't understand that, when you build infrastructure, right? People understand, like, when you see something on YouTube, you're just like, oh, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, they don't know about
They don't know that, there's a back end there, right? So I built back ends for a long time. So people don't understand that. That's where your money was at, in the back end, right? So you hear people say now, cybersecurity. Well, that's been around a long time. That's not new. Right? All those things are old, right? So what is interesting for technology is the current public is now hearing it.
Yeah. Right?
Technology has always been there. It's just it wasn't affordable for us to see it.
Definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't.
Yeah, and I think the more young men, especially black and brown, get involved, it becomes a lot more easier for us.
I think the playing field becomes a little bit more level, or a little bit more even, because if we're all in this, and like you said, it was all a foreign language to a lot of us at the time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it still is with certain things, but it was a foreign language. And I think now it evens the playing field. Everyone kind of, and I hate to say it like this, it was always one point where we like, hey, try to get something done. You couldn't find nobody to get it done, or you had to go online or call some guy. Now, man, I know 2-3 black dudes. I know a couple Hispanic guys that got it, and it's not saying that matters, but I feel like I'm a little easier to get those resources now.
Well, it matters. It really does. The flip side of it is we see it, as we go into Best Buy, right, or some other place, and we see a young man, or we got Jesus or somebody that's out here doing it. But where we become discriminatory is when you work for these big companies, right? Now, I was the only black engineer in my group, right? Now, I'm not the only brother can read and write and spell and do arithmetic or configure products, right? Or design products. So when you walk into these big companies, you don't see people who look like me and you and Jesus.
Oh, yeah, no.
Right? You don't. So that's where I think the deception is, right?
Oh, yeah.
People assume that a lot of us are in the buildings and we're not.
But when you're in schools and when you're going to this in the entry level now, we are what you see.
Right.
We are who you see who are in that class, learning this SQL language, learning all this user interface. So I think that maybe in a couple of years, or maybe, with time, with everyone learning, I think slowly but surely you'll definitely see a rise of more, minorities and more impact with us.
I hope so.
Because we got some great ideas, man. We got some
we always have, but, you got to remember.
We always have.
We always have. So it's not new. I think, we understand our lives are stolen lives, right? They reap the benefits of ideas that we have. And so we just don't have the avenue, the doors open for you and I. Right. Because you can go and talk to a bunch of people about an idea, a conceptual idea, and they'll tell you, oh, no, we're good. And then you look up and they're going to do that. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
That always happens like that.
Oh, yeah. That's why you don't tell your left hand what your right hand doing, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great topic because, we sharing all those ideas and all that. Man, look, somebody's going to say, somebody's writing down, taking notes, and that's how a lot of the greatest inventions happen.
Absolutely.
Especially during the Industrial Revolution. They heard us doing stuff, making our lives easier. We ain't trying to hurt our back no more. We're trying to do it. We done built something, and now they looking. Hold on, man. You know what? Let me use that. Take that, patent that. Boom. There we go.
Right.
So that's crazy to see. Also on IT, this is real crazy. This is for my boy Els, man. He like to go with conspiracies and crazy stuff. So this is something you might dive in. How do you think the Matrix and the IT industry relate, or do they?
I don't know.
Okay, I think the Matrix is more of a mindset, or more of a
I don't know.
Because my boys say artificial intelligence and all of everything, and Matrix was a part of the IT and the IT taking over us and things like that. So this is for my boy L. So it was just a quick question, because that's Matrix is. Sometimes it's saying people that were in a mental matrix. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the metaphors of the movie. But in regards to IT, a lot of people think that it's going to take over. A lot of people think that the artificial intelligence is going to take over, and we're going to see what we see on these movies.
Well, artificial intelligence is always it's been around, right? So they've been collecting data for a very long time, right? So I think what happens is, once again, we see it now.
Right.
So I don't know if you remember Star Trek. Remember Mr. Data? Okay, so he was the android, right? And that was in the 80s, right? So he had a lot of data in his mind, right? So information has always been there. It's just how they release it to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So collection of information has always been there. So what it is now, they just teaching technology how to regurgitate it back to you. Okay. So that scares people.
Right.
Right. Because now you don't need a human being to get that information from. Right. You can just speak into a mic,
Siri,
your phone,
Alexa,
Siri,
or
whatever, and that information is spit back to you. It's regurgitated. The information has always been there.
Yeah.
So now they just releasing it in a different way, and that scares people.
Okay. Maybe the traditional people kind of looking like, what? Because it say the rise of AI will eliminate 85 million jobs. You see these cashiers, they gone now. You see the store. I remember we went to Fresh and Easy. Right. I was looking, there wasn't nobody there. I said, what's going on?
Right. Oh, yeah, they will always do that. I mean, you got to remember, not only just technology, but it's also capitalism.
Yeah.
So capitalism will trump anything when it comes to people. You're just a byproduct of what they're trying to do. Now, once they don't need you no more, they're gone. That's just part of it.
Right. That's true. When you said Trump, that word just hit so hard. Pause. Trump. Speaking of Trump, no, I'm just kidding. Real quick on the politics. Real quick on the world news. We have the world radio, and we do cover world news on there. There has been some developments in the world, and countries uniting or coming in with the same mindset. How with you being a person that's been in a couple of different countries, how do you see this new, this new dilemma with the world, Russia and what are they with China or, and America, where with Ukraine and all of this stuff. People say that it's going to be something worldly coming up soon. People say it's going to be a conflict soon coming worldly. How do you kind of view that? Do you think something like that is coming on, or this is just always just conflict in there?
We always going to have conflict, right? It's once again, we have more technology to see it faster. They have long history in those Eastern blocs. So they've always had issues with one another, right? All those areas used to be the USSR, which used to be all of Russia.
Right.
So they've always been upset, at the fact that they have detached themselves from them, right? So you're always going to have a dictator or a deranged person that is going to do something. That's just part of it, right? Europe is, when we say conflict, you always have it, right? The Europeans are still doing it.
Yeah.
Right? They do it through capitalism. So conflict is always there. It's just a matter of who is Nostradamus, who can predict it at the right time that it's going to happen. Right? China does it. China has always done it, right? So you're always going to have, David and Goliath. You're always going to have people that's going to do something. So you just don't know when. You just know it's going to happen, right? Yeah. So it's just people, right? And so, and you're always going to have a group of people that, think about it this way, right, on the world stage. If you think about our communities, right, if you look at our communities, the small conflicts in our communities, right, somebody come up and say, oh, man, he said something about you. What you going to do?
Right. Basically.
That's just how the world get down, right? So they go in the rooms and they have these conversations and they divide up what they're going to do. Because if you think about this, when Putin went into, I believe it was Georgia, the country of Georgia, when Bush was president, Bush was on a hot mic, and Bush was at I think a conference over in Europe, and they walked up to Bush and they told him, Putin just went into Georgia. Bush said, I just told him not to do that shit. So which means that, you know what I mean? They talk to each other.
Right.
And just like when Biden just went over to Ukraine, the Russians knew he was coming. They want to make sure, hey, bro, we coming. No accident. Right. Because they know now that will draw us into a conflict. You shoot that plane down, it's a problem.
Right. Yeah, true.
So
you're right.
And we're not looking at that as an accident, right? And we would have to retaliate.
Yeah.
So they communicate. They're gangsters. They know what each other's going to do. Right?
Organized chaos.
It's organized chaos. That's all it is.
That's crazy that to say that. You broke it down. You said that gangsters. They know what they're doing.
Exactly.
They've been doing this for a long time, too. They got a playbook. We just don't know it. We can see the playbook, but they have it right here in their head.
That's right. Absolutely.
They pass it down from person to person.
Absolutely.
Speaking of passing down from person to person, well, real quick, they had some UFOs that's being shot down and all that, so that's something being passed down. But when we talk about passing down advice, tips and words of wisdom. We always do that to these new fathers.
Right.
So say, for example, we got a new kid. He's walking out. It's cold outside. So you see this dude walking with his baby, got him bundled up. What point of advice would you give to him? He's young. He don't know nothing. He might even ask you, hey, man, hey, how you doing, man? He's talking to you. What point of advice would you give this new kid, this new father?
I would say stay active, right? Be an active participant in your son or your daughter's life every day, right? That's the best advice I can give you, because your child is going to change, right? From the age of, from birth to 2 to 5 to 7 to 14, you got to be active.
Right.
So if you're there and you're active, that's the best advice I can give you, is be active daily in your child's life.
Definitely true. Be active daily. That's true. And when he says be active, I'm going to take it in a literal sense. Stay active, because these kids going to keep your limbs moving, man. If you don't, you're going to feel it when little Tommy jumping on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, my kids, man, he like to elbow me. For some reason, my youngest son, he want to elbow me. He's 8.
Oh.
So he want to wrestle now. He want to just do this. I'm like, man, bro, you keep doing that. That's the wrong spot. I'm about to sock your ass. No.
Yeah. He's telling you right now, Daddy, I'm running this, man.
Is that right?
I'm running this. Yeah. That's good though. The energy is good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That he's comfortable. That he want to jump on you.
Oh right.
And that says a lot.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, that's good, man. And before we go, we want to make sure that we did give you your flowers.
Appreciate
your accolades, because we don't see many fathers here. We don't see it now as things changing, and we want to make sure we change that narrative. But we want to make sure we give dads like you their flowers, their cigars, their accolades. Take our hats off for you. One, being a great coach, being an active father, making sure yours get to there. Got them through that journey of life.
Right.
They're still going. But it's great to have that here, and that's the reason why we have fathers like that.
Thank you,
here.
man. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. That's nothing, man. That's definitely why we're here. So, real quick, y'all make sure you tune in. Like I said, this young man did share some very vital information and some wisdom. This has been another episode. We do appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like and comment and subscribe to the channel. Go to the radio station, and we will do the world news. So we will have some information coming up. So yeah, we love y'all. We do appreciate y'all. But most importantly, y'all keep being great fathers to them kids, y'all. This is another episode. Yes, sir. We love y'all.
All right.